being a integrator or a visionary is like what comes to you easily.
Yes.
And so what comes to me easily is like, okay, well, I can come up with a vision. I can come up with the plan that are realistic, that are smart goals and things of that sort. That's going to be pushing, it's going to give you a push. So I can come up with that, come up with the framework, but I need implementers to really kind of say, well, this is how we're going to get it done. What do you need improvement in?
Just want to go through and win.
What is the purpose of overthinking? You're taking care of your loved one. That's how you can increase your sales.
Hello, everybody. This is Ferris.
And this is Caleb Lenore, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with the Homecare Guyz.
Oh, man, Caleb, today we have a great episode, man. This is for the individuals that are entrepreneurs, that are leaders, that are managers, that are directors, or those who aspire to actually work in a leadership position. We're going to be talking about visionaries and integrators. So visionaries and integrators. Are you a visionary? Are you a visionary, or are you an integrator on the team? So, Caleb, before we go through and dive in and define all this stuff right here, how has your week been coming along, man?
My week has been amazing, Ferris. I got a chance to spend some time with mom this week, and we pretty much just had just some time together. And then I got a chance to spend some time with my dog Bella.
Okay.
So Bella is big. She's huge. She's a huge poodle, and so I want to spend some time loving on Bella. And I just had a great week, man. I took it easy. I really didn't do too much, but just kind of spin around the house. I got a few projects that I'm working on right now, currently in Atlanta, with some renovation projects. But other than that, that's been good. We actually this week, Ferris, we actually did a radio advertisement, which was interesting, and so we got a chance to work on that. But it's a pretty much laid back week. How was your week?
Man, last week we had a very busy week. It was almost, and I know we had a few lunches, a few dinners we had to go through and actually do, because we're on the process of actually growing our team to become that national brand that we desire to go through and do. So we're on a huge pathway of recruiting great talent. So we did some lunches, some dinners last week, and then we actually flew in a great financial mind last week, and so that was actually really good. Got a chance to bring him in, got a chance to allow him to go through and actually meet our team, because we realized in the pathway of actually becoming a national organization, we have to go through and actually get some of the right people in the right seat. Right. And so we just had a great time. I had a great time entertaining, but I think after Friday, man, I was so exhausted. My body was exhausted. I was physically exhausted. I had a wedding I had to go through and be in. It was just a long week for me. I almost lost my voice. I was just so tired. So what I did was I got a chance to go through and just relax a little bit on Saturday and Sunday. Got a chance to get me a massage, got a chance to go through and just go to the country house and just relax just a little bit, walk around the pond, look at the fish, look at the coyote, look at the
hold on for a second. You saw a coyote?
I saw some little coyote pups.
Oh my goodness.
Got a chance to see the little redhead woodpecker. Just got a chance to enjoy nature a little bit, got a chance to read a little bit. So I had to realize that I had to tell my body was telling me to slow down and just relax a little bit. So that's what I did to end my week. So after a long, exhausting week, I got a chance to relax.
Right. And I think that, your body will definitely tell you, hey, enough is enough. I need you to slow down. Yeah. I remember we even rode together in the car, and you were like, let me just take a COVID test.
Yeah. So, I'm like, is this COVID? Like, and my COVID test came back negative.
It came back negative.
I'm just so tired.
I said, Ferris, if you do have COVID, we're just going to roll down the window. Listen, I'm tired too. Let's go and make it home.
Oh my God.
But I'm glad that you took some time. And like I said, I just spent some time for myself too. Just relax. We are supposed to be headed to Denver next week. And so we just end up saying that we cannot do that because we're so busy. And we need time to just kind of recuperate. And so, it's going to be great. But let's dive into our episode today.
Man, today we have an amazing episode. So we're going to be talking about visionaries and also integrators. So in continuing on with the conversation about the framework that we're building within our organization, we realize that every organization should have someone who's a visionary and someone who's an integrator. And when you have an organization that have both a visionary and an integrator, that's going to lead more to a more harmonious relationship when it comes to actually growing an organization. I look back when I first joined the team, a lot of times we try to operate in another role, or you may have multiple visionaries and multiple people trying to integrate. And what happens is we start stepping on each other's toes, or we go nowhere really quickly.
Ooh, say that, Barry.
And so after reading this book, Traction, which I would highly recommend if you're a leader, after reading this book, I had to go through and realize that, okay, well, what role am I going to play in this relationship? It's almost like being in a husband-wife relationship. You have to realize what role are you going to play. You can be the visionary or going to be the integrator. And both are needed.
Right.
Both are needed. And so we went through and actually got a chance to look at it and define what a visionary was and what an integrator was. And one thing I realized that, okay, well, hey, though I may be able to wear both hats, but for this relationship right here, I need to be able to go through and say, well, hey, Caleb is high when it comes to that acumen, when it comes to visionary. And what a visionary person is, they really see the future vividly and they run towards it fearlessly. They need integrators on the team to kind of chart the plans and everything. But as a visionary, that's what you really need. And so, Caleb, when I read that right there and we had our conversation, I was like, hold up, I know who our visionary is for the organization.
Well, you know what, Ferris, I'm gonna tell you this, like a visionary, you know, being a visionary or being an implementator or what do you call it? Integrator. Being a integrator or a visionary is like what comes to you easily.
Yes.
And so what comes to me easily is like, okay, well, I can come up with a vision. I can come up with the plan that are realistic, that are smart goals and things of that sort. That's going to be pushing, you know, it's going to give you a push. So I can come up with the framework, but I need implementers to really kind of say, well, this is how we're going to get it done. These are the steps. And so it comes to me easy. And Ferris, I know that you're a visionary as well, but implementation and systems comes to you so easy.
Yes.
Like when it comes down to a system, learning about a software, learning about writing a policy for this particular program or these programs and the outline of how to run the program step by step. This is what training looks like. This is how you onboard. This is how you do orientation. All of that stuff, I can come up with the whole picture. But having those implementators or those integrators to come in and do those fine-tuning parts of the vision, that's exceptional, and that's what you need on the team. And so, Ferris, I think that is what definitely makes our relationship so dynamic. Is we have both a visionary and an integrator on the team, and so we're really just bound for success.
And so, Caleb, one thing I want to go through and maybe pose a question towards you, because as a visionary, guys, if you're ever around a true visionary, not somebody who just say they're visionary, but if you're ever around a true visionary, you will become exhausted because the ideas will continue to flow. It'll be like, oh my gosh, like let's go through and do this, but even though it may become exhausting, one thing that I will say is the journey will be so exciting because what happens is you're going to go through you're going to grow both personally and professionally. I think, Caleb, as a visionary, I've seen where you go through and the things where people may say, but doggone, that's impossible. A visionary goes through and say, you know what? Hey, that's all you have to do is do this. And you're like, you know what? That's all we have to do is do this, and that, and it can happen. So I want to pose a question to you as a visionary. Where do these, like, where does the, I guess it's natural, but where does the ideas continuously come from? Like, because we talked about an idea, I think a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, that's very smart. Never thought about that. Right. Is it something where it's just natural, or where do those visions come from?
You know, I think that once you reach certain goals and goals in your life, you figure out what's next.
Yes.
What's next? What's going to be a challenge? You know, so I'm always thinking about what's next. Right now, my focus has moved to servicing. Like, how can I better service? And so we always talk about, or you have probably heard us say about building an ecosystem when it comes down to healthcare. And so I just know that healthcare is not just for home care. You know, we were in the focus of our initial stages of business fairs. We started off in the home care industry. Yes. You know, we started off just serving elderly. And so we diversified because we said, well, elderly people are not the only ones that need care. You know, people with Alzheimer's not the only ones that need care or over 65. And so now we said, well, kids need care. Adults needs care. There's different programs out there that we could better service our community. And so I think that as a visionary, my outlook now has become more of a holistic ecosystem. How can I service someone not only on the home care side, but as they transition to end of life care, as they need rehabilitation services, as they go in and need counseling services. And so that's how the vision comes to mind. And then ultimately helping the community out.
Yes.
What are some ways that we can help the community out for the community holistically can be a better community? Because there's so many communities right now, Ferris, in Georgia. There's so many counties in Georgia without any medical care.
Yes.
And so my vision has been to a point where it's not just helping those elderly in those communities, but how can I help the whole community?
Yeah.
And so now helping the whole community is going to require your vision to become large and expand.
Caleb, I think that what you just said is so key, because one thing that hits home, and you can probably elaborate on it even more, we come from Sparta, Georgia. Sparta, Georgia is a very small town, very rich in intelligence, very rich in culture, very rich in just community. But some things they don't have is they don't have access to a hospital.
Adequate healthcare.
Adequate healthcare. They don't have access to urgent care or emergency department or emergency room. These are some of the things where, as when things come up, when emergencies come up, they cannot just go through and call 911 and expect an ambulance service to come and pick them up and take them right down the road to get service.
Right.
And this is life and death situations. One thing, I was talking to one of our cousins, and she really brought it home with me. I know they have a contracted ambulance service that works down there, that operates in that area, but they only have maybe one or two of them that actually service this region pretty much. And just imagine if for some reason you don't have a vehicle, and let's imagine if you live in rural, in the countryside of Hancock County, and you go into cardiac arrest, or you go into diabetic shock, or your child goes into have an asthma attack. And let's say if you're unfortunate enough to not have a vehicle or neighbors around, and you call 911 expecting someone to come get you or come get your loved one, and they're an hour away, that's life and death. And so I think it's so important for us as a visionary, especially for you as a visionary, to go through and continue to go through and dream big dreams and have visions, to go through and serve these underserved communities, because that's where the solution and the answer is going to lie, within the visionary. And I think as we'll go into the role of the integrator, but I want you to comment on this. It's so important for the integrators to support those visionaries, to go through and say, no, this cannot happen, but let's find a way to make this happen, because lives are depending on it as well. Ooh. So Kayla, I want you to kind of elaborate, because I know we're working on an idea that's going to go through and service some of the rural areas, but what was your mindset when you had that idea? You don't have to go through and say what the idea is.
I got you.
But what was your mindset when you had that idea?
Affairs like I said, I think it was more so looking at the community, looking at the need. Most people, when you go into business, or most people, most successful people find a need in the community and just address the need.
Correct.
And so we have heard over and over, there's just different needs in different communities and stuff. And so I think my vision was like, how can I address that need the most efficient way? And so by addressing that need, it ultimately created a business that I shared with you, and you were like, oh man, this could work. This could really work. This is actually the new wave. And I'm like, it's all about addressing the need and moving and addressing the need and really meeting the people where they are. And so I think that's when I thought about it long term. I was like, well, what are some ways? So you also, as a visionary, you take some time to really kind of think about, how could this work? Could this not work? What is this something that that the community can benefit from? If it is something like that, and then you just kind of jot down, you do some brainstorming. You just jot down some things, and then on your sheets of paper or pretty much on your iPad, and you just kind of write some notes down, and then ultimately it just, the idea comes, and I just share it, and one thing if it's a great idea is when your integrator can jump on them. It's like, that's cool. I like that. That's a brilliant idea. And
Caleb, I think the role of an integrator is so key. It's like the left hand needs the right hand, and the right hand needs the left hand as well, because what happens is when a visionary goes to have those dreams, those visions to go through and service the community, you got to have someone that's going to go through and integrate. Somebody's going to put a team together to go through and say, hey, we're going to go through and actually see this idea through. Because I think a lot of people, just like Caleb, you may have great ideas, but may not have a team to go through and help you and assist you with building out what it looks like, building out that framework to go through and see. Because Caleb, guess what? It could flourish, or it could not. It's only two options. It's going to win, or it's not going to go through and succeed.
Right.
But either way, we'll never know unless we give it a try. And I think as an integrator, it's our role as an integrator to support the visionary, so that now what we can do is move forward. Because guess what? This idea that you have, when it comes to pass, it's going to go through and be the answer and the solution to so many people, not just within our local community, but this is something on a national level that really could go through and impact a lot of access, a lot of things when it comes to access in healthcare, they will be able to get access to it. And I think that's going to be the prayer answer for so many people as well.
And Ferris, one thing that I truly feel is, because I look at our grandmother, I look at a lot of the seniors, just like how you brought the scenario and the story in Hancock County. A lot of the seniors, they may have a heart attack, or they may have a stroke, and they may not have reliable transportation. And so what's going to happen to them, even if they need a medication prescribed, if they get sick and they need to go to some kind of clinic for a quick assessment. What happens to those individuals when they don't have the ones in the family knows how to do CPR and first aid.
Exactly.
And so it's like, that's a dire need. That's like a desert when it comes down to healthcare. And so I'm all about how can we address this need, and addressing the need ultimately is really building a true ecosystem when it comes down to healthcare. Someone that comes in and may benefit from one services, but we're answering and meeting needs at other levels as well.
That's beautiful, brother.
Let me ask you a question about integrator. Because you are a perfect integrator. How do you know? Like, do you feel? What are some ways that people would know if they are a visionary or an integrator? And preferably more so, what are some characteristics of an integrator?
I think the first question, how would you know, is it's a lot of things that I have is innate. Some of the characteristics, if you really enjoy systems, if you really enjoy building and understands that building is not overnight, building takes time, it takes a process. I think you may be leaning towards the integrator characteristic of it. And I think one thing that we do as integrators, we enjoy building, we enjoy seeing things come all the way through. Like, the ideas may come, but we enjoy taking someone else's idea and say, you know what? Hey, great idea. Let me build upon it. Let me build a team. Let me build processes. Let me build systems. Let me build budgets for it, and getting the right people on the team to do that. So I think as an integrator, you have to be patient. You have to be patient. You have to be patient with your visionary, because your visionary individuals, they're going to come with a lot of ideas. You have to be able to go through and be able to decipher which ones, and be able to say yes or no, which ones we're going to go through and run with, or be able to go through and say, we're going to run with this one first, then this one, then this one. And this may not come to a year and a half later, or this one may not come until we find the right directors or EDs or leadership for that, but it's not putting on the back burner. So I think you have to be patient, have to be vocal, and you really have to enjoy working. You have to enjoy it. You have to really enjoy, if you love getting up and going to work and accomplishing things and making things grow, you're probably an integrator. As an integrator, I think one of my characteristics is I really thrive on systems. I thrive on optimizing things. I thrive on making things better. Those are the characteristics of an integrator, right. As well.
Right. And one thing I can see, Noah, I call him Noah. Y'all know we really country now. We're in Homestead. But one thing I see, Ferris, is especially you been in the role, you can see how well of an integrator you are, because the business continues to succeed.
Yes.
And no matter what department or what program we introduce or what new service we introduce to our colleagues, it comes with a system. It comes with the leadership to run the system, and it comes with those processes that make it seamless. And so I want to say thank you, man. You are like the #1 integrator.
Come on.
especially in I would say in Georgia. You are definitely a great integrator and a great CEO, by the way, as well. And so I just want to say thank you for that, man. You're amazing.
And I want to say thank you for continuing to go through and dream big dreams. I think so many times people, especially when you're in a partnership, no one should feel inferior. No one should feel like, okay, I'm the big guy and the little you. It's like we don't have no big egos to go through and say, even though Caleb's the visionary and I'm the integrator, guess what? He still works on my team as an integrator in one of the departments. Right. He dreamed the vision, and guess what? I go through and put the system, and in one part, he works the vision as well that he dreamt. I think it's so important to not have big egos when it comes to integrating things, because that's when we can go through and build something that's going to go through and resolve and solve so many problems out in the world. So I appreciate you, and I thank you for being a visionary for the organization and standing in that position, but also I thank you for being a team member and on that as well. So I would encourage you as entrepreneurs, you as leaders out there, is to go through and find your vision. If you're not the visionary, find a visionary to go through and connect with. If you're a visionary, find that integrator that you could go through and connect with, so that you can go through and see your vision come to pass. Because the worst thing to do is have all these visions, and as you get older and older, you turn 30 and 40 and 50 and have all these ideas, but nothing come to pass. Now that's down a slow right there.
That's right.
Nothing comes back, because you have all these visions, but you don't have no one to help you integrate it. So I would say go out there and make sure you're a pair, like two peas in the pot. Go through and find your visionary, find your integrator, and make a difference in this world.
Yeah, make it happen. Well, guys, then you have another great episode of Conversation with Homecare Guyz. I hope that you took something out of this episode. Identifying if you are a visionary or integrator, and teaming up with people that can help grow your business. Having a visionary on the team, as well as having an integrator on the team is important. Remember to go to Spotify. Remember to follow us on Facebook. But go to Spotify if you can and leave us a 5-star review as well as a great comment if you enjoyed this episode.
Exactly. And Caleb, before we end this episode, I want to go through and throw it out there because we are on the pathway of becoming a national organization.
I like when you say that.
And if you see yourself as an integrator, if you see yourself and have experience in working in executive leadership or in directive leadership, or actually want to go through and connect with the visionary to go through and actually do something great, I want you to go through and actually DM us. I want you to go through and email us. I want you to find some way to get in contact with us because we're looking for talented individuals to go through and actually enjoy and actually help us build this national organization. Just like Caleb said, we're creating an ecosystem, not just in home care. So if you have some experience in any aspect in healthcare, especially when it comes in dealing with the home setting, I want you to go through and actually let us know, and let's see how we can go through and partner together and see how we can go through and change the world as well. And as always, make sure you go through and actually tune in to our episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays of each week. Make sure you go through and subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, wherever we are with the Homecare Guyz with a Z. And make sure you go through and let someone else know about this conversation because I believe that this conversation can change the world as well. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and here's to a great week.
Let's get it.